Hey everyone, it's Divine Readings with the Gypsy, and today I have a treat. I am going to do a side-by-side flip through of my Tarot Prague decks. Yes! I have got the first edition of the Tarot Prague in my hands, and I'm going to do a flip, side-by-side comparison of both of my decks. Just to warn you before I get into any of the cards and flip through, my Prague deck, I do have another copy by the way, but my Prague deck had suffered a fatality with ink markers, wine spills, and what have yous ever since I've got it. And I do have a, like I said, I do have a backup copy, but I am not going to crack it open for just this walkthrough. It's a champagne bottle day, if the day that my other copy of my third edition would be opened. I'm sorry. And I'm just deeply apologize before I start walking through the cards. So the edges of the third edition of my deck is trimmed. But we're going to do a full walkthrough of the Tarot Prague first edition as well as flip through the second edition. Without further ado, I'm just going to quickly set my third edition aside and crack open this baby. Immediately when I got this box and started unraveling it, the flaps of the poor Tarot Prague box was in one of these kind of boxes, and it's just did not last the test of time. So let me go ahead and, wow, that is a chunky book, and bring out the cards, and it's quite literally a slide out box like so. So I think this is how it came when it was first published back in 2003. I believe this is how long this deck has been out, so 2003. And it was limited edition, first limited edition of 300 decks. And it was 29 euros at the time. That's probably, I'm guessing about $35 or $45 at the time. Wow. So this deck was pretty cheap at the time. Yeah, 2003. It was copyrighted at the 2003. So this is an old box and an old deck. So they don't come like this anymore because it's actually a very pricey deck, honestly. But I was able to score a really good deal on eBay, and it was always been my dream and my life's goal to own the whole series of the Tarot Prague. You know, the first edition, second edition, and third edition. And I'm just so glad and peachy as punch that the first edition is here in my hands for a reasonable price. And it came one of these boxes, you know, like these ribbon boxes, you know, kind of with the cards loose, if you've already could see. I wish she had actually, I think the person I got this from was a girl. I wish she had put it in a sandwich bag. And this one is 2,941 out of 350. And in the box just said it was only 3,000. Of these. So, okay, I'm gonna, ooh, these are the backs. I'm gonna put these aside and we're gonna flip through the cards together. I can't wait, I can't wait. Okay, but this is, so the little white booklet to this deck is attached to the box like so. And, wow. I don't know if this was standard, wow, for all the decks to come this way. This is the first time I'm seeing the deck, by the way, but I don't know if it was so they have the threshold spread, you know, the Prague threshold spread, which is also in the third edition, but I will get to that here in a second. And this is just a quick first impressions before I quickly get into the cards and doing a side-by-side comparison. So it's a very meaty guidebook. You know, I'm surprised. It's probably about as meaty as the one in the third edition as the Tarot Prague, if you guys or some of you have the third edition. So I'm just kind of flipping through. I've have never seen this yet, so. All right. Okay, there you have it. And it says the Tarot Prague Limited Edition 2013, deck number 2941. There we are. That's the box to the 3rd edition. And I'm trying not to touch the deck, even though I want to touch the deck. Alright, and this book, I would have to do this is a first impressions yet again. So I haven't seen the book yet. I would have to read the book and compare it, do a book comparison later, but this looks like a very, very meaty book. It looks like it has a lot of information, and it has a lot of... I remember the 3rd edition book has a lot of information about the architecture of Prague and the art history of Prague. If you're into that kind of boring stuff, which I am, but I don't know how many of you are. So it has a lot of the history of Prague and stuff like that. And oh my goodness, a treasure, a bookmark. I love little treasures like that, don't you? Ah, okay. So this looks like it, from what I could see of the condition of the decks and the book so far, it has suffered from some wear and tear, but it actually, if you compare it to this guidebook, it's not as meaty. So let me put this away over here. So as far as guidebooks go, this one is a lot meatier than this one. However, when you flip through this guidebook, this is the new guidebook, by the way, for the Tarot Prague, and I think it's still available on their site if you still would be interested in it. And it, again, has a history of Prague and all the architecture and the boring logistic stuff that, as I was saying, in this guidebook. And this is just a brief flip through, and I have a hard time reading the guidebook, honestly, because it has a lot of the Rider-Waite meanings in them. It does have a lot of the Rider-Waite meanings in them, and I already am a pretty good Rider-Waite reader, so I don't necessarily need it for that. I just am very interested in the architecture and the history of Prague, and that's why I got the guidebook. And there you go. So as far as the condition goes, I was going to say, of this one, since 2003, I think 2003 would be approximately almost 15 years ago now, or probably more than that. Yeah, it's 15 years ago because my brother's 15 or 14, and he was born in 2003. So yeah, I say since 2003, this book is in very good condition, and the deck looks like, so far, just by looking at the edges, like it's in very good condition. I would have to check the cardstock here in a second, but it does come with an extra card on top. Ooh, I got to see a sneak peek at the card for a second there. Oh well. But yeah, it comes with an extra card on the top, and we'll just go dive right into the cards. Before we dive right into the cards, I forgot to unbox my 3rd edition. It's not really an unboxing, but this is my deck that I already have already. It came with a few extra cards in it, and it's a very sturdy box, and it's one of those beautiful Bobble Studio boxes, and it has those flashy backs, and this is what it looks like now with it trimmed, but it wasn't trimmed it's not trimmed when you get it. And the flippy book is about the same caliber as this little white book is about the same caliber as the little white book in here. However, I do think that the little white book in here is better than the one that they give you in the 3rd edition, in my personal opinion. Now we could go see the cards. Video magic again. Okay, I think I got the cards as centered as I can. I'll bring them close again like this to do a comparison of the colors and things like that. Alright, first real impression of the colors from the 3rd edition to the 1st edition. I do notice the color difference already. It looks very, the deck itself looked like it's untarnished or worn from the test of time, so I think whoever you are out there that I bought the deck from, you did a very good job preserving your deck, and I'm just going to give you a shout out already. This one is, my deck is already trimmed, by the way, so for it being trimmed and having a thin white border on it, it's almost the same exact size as this 1st edition deck, quite honestly. And I don't have the 2nd edition to compare it to, but I think that the 2nd edition is very much like the 1st edition as far as most of the scenery goes. It already, looking at the 1st edition right now, I'm seeing a lot of similarities from the 1st to the 2nd edition from what I've seen on YouTube from, who's her face? I'll have to link her link down below, but I forgot her name. Divine Muse. Okay, her name is Divine Muse, and she has the 2nd edition comparison to this deck as well. This one is just the 1st deck comparison. And I already could tell that some of the background color and stuff is very, very muted, whereas the 3rd edition color is very, very bold. I mean, it's a very, very bold color, so already I could see the difference in the, almost the quality. Shouldn't say quality, but I should say the color quality is definitely different in the 3rd edition versus the 1st edition. And I already am seeing some of the background is different here too versus the background here. Alright, set those aside. And actually, believe it or not, I'm going to be the asshole and going to shuffle the 1st edition deck at the end of the video. Even though most people are probably going to cringe at me for shuffling the 1st edition deck, rifle shuffling it. But I'm going to do it for just a comparison shuffle. And already here, again, I see some of the color quality is different. And I actually see an image in the background that is different. But other than that, the image is pretty much the same. And of course, you know, the 1st edition has that microme shine, or those shiny things. Alright, this is one thing from the 3rd edition from the 2nd edition that I noticed, is that they have a veil here. I don't know if you could see that on my camera, but they actually have a veil here, and it kind of molds into the background. It's like a veil that molds into the background, whereas it's blatantly obvious that there's a veil here. And of course, some of the towers in the background are different. Again, the color on the books are different, and I saw that from the 2nd edition too. Oh man. Let's see. Yeah. Again, very similar images from the 1st to the 3rd edition. The image is definitely blown up a little bit more in the 3rd edition versus the 1st edition by that slight bit. And I think some of the colors are been modified to be a little bit more muted in the 3rd edition actually this time than the 1st edition. I'm using a very good camera for this comparison, so I'm noticing that a lot of the colors and stuff that I'm noticing is showing up on the camera. So I'm hoping this will look good. Alright, I'm definitely noticing some of the background colors has changed, but I'm also seeing that and they've actually toned down the colors on the Emperor a little bit, and so that he's not completely washed out by the white light here. And some of the dark, more, I would say, I'm not saying that the 3rd edition is a very masculine color, but I feel like there's more of a masculine color in the background of the 1st edition versus the 3rd edition. This is one of my favorite cards in the whole deck. When I was seeing the deck comparison with Kelly and Truth and Story last year, is that, oh my gosh, the Hermit, not Hermit card, but the Hierophant card is just absolutely stunning. And this is still very stunning with like a Gregorian music piece in the background. Oh, they have a little bit of a music piece in the background here too. I didn't recognize that. Oh. They are very, very similar images. That, of course, he's colored and he's not. Similar lovers card. They got... I know that the special edition and the 3rd edition has an alternate lovers card, which is in the 3rd edition book. Let me get that for a second. Real quick, everybody. Where is the lovers card? Real quick so I can show you. Okay. The alternate lovers card in the 3rd edition looks like that one. In that special edition, 3rd edition lovers card, it has more of an Adam and Eve-ness there. But it looks like this is a very... is the same image. The background is definitely different in the 1st edition than the 2nd edition, and the background is very, very sepia or washed out or kind of modified in a strange way. I don't know what they did with color in the background, but it looks very washed out with whatever photo lenses that they used. They were making, I think it was in the 3rd edition book here, that they were making comments about this quality of this the 1st edition was very muted, kind of washed out, not really washed out, but washed out in a way. Very, very different. I think some of the color here is different, but for the most part, it's the same card. Honestly, this was one of my pet peeve cards when I first got my Prague deck, because I love my Terra Prague, but I just thought he looked very animated looking. I don't know. He looked very fake looking, whereas I love him here. This is actually better than the 1st edition, honestly, in my personal mind's eye. I love how he looks more realistic and more rigid versus a more, he looked almost computer generated in this one, even though it's a statue. I love the 1st edition of it, though. And the fortune card, or the Wheel of Fortune card, is the same. This card, aside from its coloring and microme, is the same. This one as well, the microme is different, the background is different. I don't know. I like them both in their own ways. Alright, this one has both of these editions have 2 different death cards. This edition has a little, okay, come on, focus, focus, focus. A little skelly man, come on, camera, focus. Okay, he has a little skelly man with the hourglass in the background over here, with him in the river Styx, I believe, is what they're referencing in this painting when they were doing these Prague paintings. So I think he's on the river Styx going through the underworld. I think that's what the reference is, if I remember correctly. And this is the alternate death card in the 1st edition. And this is the alternate death card in the 3rd edition here. I love the 3rd edition death card, but I gotta tell you, when I saw this on eBay, the death card with the flag and the little guy in the background and the little horsey and this knight of armor kind of doing his thing with the molded faces and the rocks, I was just going, oh my god, that's the best card ever. I was freaking out over this. I'm nerding out. I'm gonna have to read on that one. And Temperance is absolutely gorgeous. I think there's some subtle differences in the color, but I'm not really seeing anything that's striking me as different in the background. One of my favorite tower cards of all time. I love both of these towers in different ways. I love the colors and saturation in that one, and I just like the rawness in this one. This was the best purchase ever, both of these decks. Oh, best decks ever. I love the star card. That was one of the deck cards that I just thought was absolutely stunning. Oh, now this was one of those cards that I knew was going to be different when I got the deck. Ugh. Sorry, I'm trembling. My hands on my left hand. I've been sitting in the cold air for all day and all morning long. I love these cards. All right, this is the new Sun card in the 3rd edition, which is the little baby on the horse with the scroll work and everything like that. I'm not so fond of this, but I keep it in my deck anyways. And since these two are so similar, I'm just gonna show off these two side by side. I love him in the 1st edition. I love his coloring, and I love the garden, and it's very cool. Very, very pretty. Like I said, aside from the color, I'm not seeing too much different from the Microme edition and this one. Once again, very similar cards. Makes my job a little bit easier. Hold on one second. I had to put the decks in order for a second, so camera magic, you didn't see that happen. Aside from the color, you could tell that these are the same. Just for lengthness of this video, I'm just gonna try to keep my commentaries to myself unless there is a very recognizable difference. Like this card, you could tell is a very different from this card as far as the background colors go. I actually kind of like the boldness of the oranges in that this edition versus this edition. Even though I love the clearness of the 3rd edition, I just like the rawness of the 1st edition. Colors, background a little bit, and colors and scenery. Background and colors. Background and colors. Well, not even background. This one is the same exact card. I'll be darned. Same card. Colors. Some of the major background change and color change here. Same card. Background and colors a little bit. Background change and the colors from the wands. I have to say that I love him in the 3rd edition, even though the 1st edition is absolutely stunning too. Just the colors in this particular card for the Queen of Wands. the colors and some of the background. I think they chose a different angle. They still use the same building, but a different photographic angle. I think that is the word I'm looking for. And the knight is wearing something different. Oh, it's the same knight, but just colors have changed. Like, oh, look at those background differences there. Background and colors. I have to say I love the gloominess of the Five of Cups here and the first edition. From what I could remember of the second edition and the first edition, I am not seeing too many different things between the second and the... Come on, focus. I'm not seeing too many different things from the second edition to the first edition, from what I can remember, the second edition from Miss Divine Muse. Definitely different cups and colors. Colors has changed and the background has changed. Same image. No, there's some different things. They got a kitty cat and some very German-esque very style here. They're both very German style, and it just got some different things in there. Different imagery. I don't know. I love the colors in that one. They're both very German looking and Germanic looking, I should say. But they just have their own style, if you could tell. This one's pretty much the same image, just different colors. Background has changed from the editions. Very different. This guy always makes me laugh every single time I see him. It's the Knight of Cups. An upside down horse. Same image. Ooh. The water's different. And they got a little boat in the background in this one. I don't know if it's coming up in the camera, but it kind of reminds me of that glaring water in this one versus this one. Background is different. I can also tell by just picking up the cards and handling them, and this is something I'm going to make note about now since we're going through the minors, is that this edition, the first edition, feels a lot thicker to the fingers as the third edition by handling them. However, when I'm bending them like this, I'm not feeling the difference when you're bending them, but I'm feeling the difference as far as when you're moving your fingers across them like that. So that's something to take note of. But this one is a carbon, the third edition is carbon core. This one, I believe, is straight up 350 GSM, so I'm guessing, cardstock. This one is another one that always makes me laugh every single time I look at it. I love the color and the dragon in the third edition, but this one, I like almost like the background better, but I don't know what that little building in the background is in this first edition. And these are the same cards too, but I absolutely love the coloring in the third edition. Very interesting. This was one of the cards that was just noticeably different in the background. They chose the different background, and the sky color is just absolutely incredible. same image, just different coloring. This is one of the cards that I really noticed the difference in the background too when I was watching Divine Muse's walkthrough with the 2nd edition versus the 3rd edition is the sky color, the moon, and it's so beautiful, and it's that microme sheen to it and gives it that dimensional feeling. I love the 1st edition though for its own way. Wow. I love his little peacock outfit. That is one thing I am noticing that's different too, is the peacock. Ah! Hey! So ticklish. Ooh. Same castle, it's just different lighting and... Ooh, I like that. I like the differences. Wow. Same card and image, it doesn't look like it's changed. I wonder what made them want to change some of the images and not change some of the images. Like the Ace of Pentacles is exactly the same. This one is for the most part exactly the same, but when you get to some of the other cards, it's like night and day, like this one. This one is almost night and day. They almost completely redone the card itself. It's the same concept. You still got Mozart, I believe that's who this is, in both of the cards, but I just don't know what their motivation is, just completely changing the images on them too. And just keeping some of them like this the same. I would like to ask them if they were willing to talk. Oh, love this card. Oh my gosh, the blue in this card is amazing, the silver and the blue. However, I like how they recolored his outfit in this one. Amazing. I love the background. This camera's gonna... Alright. This one is very nice too. This one's pretty much the same except for the background. This one is just straight up sky, and this one has the little bit of the Prague in the background with the little worker people. This is actually one of my favorite cards in this deck, is the 9 of Pentacles. And I like them both in both editions for different reasons. The coloring, at least. Ooh. I'm sorry, I'm peeking over my camera, trying to peek around my camera and trying to figure out what is some of these things. They're both very nice. I love them both. If I could frame both of them like side by side together, that would be awesome. That'd be cool. Alright, this is the beautiful Knight of Pentacles. This one is one that is very noticeably different with the background. I'm just going to be straight up and tell you that the sky is a lot more blue right there, but I kind of damaged some of my coloring in this deck a little bit with that sky right there. And last card. Alright, and I'm going to do a quick shuffle and a quick 3 card draw from both cards. Alright. Oh yeah, and I'm going to show you the backs real quick. That's what the backs look like. This one is not shiny. This one's very shiny. Alright. And I'm going to shuffle that one in a second. And this one, it shuffled better before I trimmed it, by the way. Shoot. And here I am shuffling it without the majors. Alright. This one shuffles still like a beauty. The reason why I'm rifle shuffling my 3rd edition here is because I got another one in its own bubble wrap box, and I don't mind getting this one very loved and used because I am just going to use it till it quite literally dies in my hands. That's how much I love my Prague deck, and that's why I got the first edition. And I like to see a little bit of beautiful wear and tear on my Prague. Alright. And I'll do a 3-card spread for this one. And I'll set it aside. And probably only do one rifle shuffle with my first edition just to get it all sorted through. And overhand shuffle it the rest of the way because I do not actually intend to rifle shuffle this deck. So I'm going to do one rifle shuffle and close my eyes while I do it. And I'm going to make sure it's a good... Ooh, that's a nice cardstock. Ooh, that is nice. I'm going to overhand shuffle it from now on. It had one rifle shuffle ever since I owned it, and now it's going to forever be overhand. The cardstock feels so amazing. There's just that old matte feel to this first edition that is just enchanting. I don't know how much these cards actually have been used. They're very almost like new. I think they probably sat in the box for almost 14-15 years. And my camera is flashing the yellow light at me, or the red light at me. Alright. King, ace, and wands. So, already from the 3-card spread from both editions, you can tell, I'm gonna bring it down just a little bit here, that the colors, the first edition is gonna have more bold colors, whereas the first edition is gonna have more sepia tones. I'm already seeing. The first edition I already know is gonna have more of these bold colors, whereas the first edition, it already looks like it's going to have these very white, sepia toned, washed out, some of them washed out, but not all of them washed out backgrounds. Which is okay. I'm not opposed to that, and they definitely both look stunning on their own. Oh yeah, I might need to do a thickness comparison real quick before my camera dies. Please, 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 please don't die on me. Thickness comparison. Alright, the first edition is thicker than the carbon core edition, or the 3rd edition, the microme edition. So there you go. That's my Tarot Prague walkthrough. Before my camera dies, I'm going to see you in other walkthroughs, and I love you all. Bye.